That's okay. My bad.
Here, I'm gonna go quick grab some water.
Yeah.
I should do the same. I'm gonna use the bathroom.
Okay.
Good idea.
Well, we're live, so
Oh wow.
just go do your things.
Oh, like Yana. Okay, that's what it.
Yeah. Like I cannot express to you how much of that game was like drastically improved by Clutch Claw. In that, like, if you were not a character who had any aerial mobility, you actually had an option. Like, there were fights in that game that Ego hated because, like, what was he supposed to do as a greatsword user?
Yeah.
For like half the fight, besides like hope you get a lucky terrain area where you can mount and then bring them down, or like flash pod, flash pod, flash pod. Like, it was tricky. It was difficult for sure. And then it just became too good of a thing. Like, it really was, like, every fight you did, like, it was beneficial to do it because of what you got out of it, to just clutch claw the monster.
Okay, just currently looking through the list of monsters that are in world. I think only like 3 of these are in wild, at least up to what I've seen. And again, one of them's fucking Rathalos. That he's like the guy.
Yeah, let me see if I recognize which of these names I recognize. And some of these might have been stuff that got introduced way late. Okay, Rathalos and Rathian. Okay, they're just like some of the generic monsters, yeah. Yeah, if there's another one there that repeats, besides Rathalos and Rathian, I don't know it because it was probably later in.
Oh, are you looking in the list for
wilds?
Odogaron is also from it. That's also in world. I think very specifically the Odogaron you get in Iceborne is the one we get, the Ebony Odogaron, which doesn't really change. It just has it's now black instead of red.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I was not given where I was looking did not have the actual full list.
It's also possible they were trying to hide that specific set
Yes.
of them because they are like technically a special set because of their names are technically a minor spoiler for their existence.
Yeah, there was stuff like that in World 2. But yeah, that.
Oh. Did y'all see that?
Oh, 4. It's 4 then, because there's another one in there too.
There's. Huh.
I'm not.
Did you guys see that the Avatar tabletop RPG came out?
Oh, officially?
Yeah, like it's like the early access stuff, but I have the PDF for it.
My buddy's had like a copy of something, so maybe it's a different one.
Tell me they're not gonna bring back Zora Magdaros.
Do you want to, I mean, that was a raid boss. I don't know what you.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that fight?
Yes, I did do the Zora Magdaros fight.
Yeah.
That was the last thing I got to in World was Zora Magdaros.
It's a cool set piece fight. I give it that.
Yeah.
It's a pain to have to do it every time to get its materials. It's the only problem.
It's just like it
takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of time. You don't have to do every single part of it, which is nice.
Okay, if there's a 4th, it's a thing I haven't gotten to in Wild.
Yes,
yet.
you've not gotten to it yet. I saw what it was, and if you had gotten to it, you would have immediately said something about it. So,
It also might just be that I haven't seen it yet in like just looking at the set that I'm looking at. I didn't scroll all the way to the bottom, but yeah, it probably just is a fight I just haven't gotten to yet. Like Rathian's something I only just saw when walking around. I was like, oh, it's a Rathian. There he
Sorry,
is.
I had to tuck the missus into bed, and then I was told I needed a snack. By I mean the one that's in bed. So now I have an open box of smoked Gouda Cheez-Its.
Do I not have a good pen?
Yo.
There it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
is
is
that
my
a
first
Capri
Monster Hunter
Sun?
game ever. By the way, yeah, damn right, it's a Capri Sun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, do you two want to talk a little bit about Monster Hunter? Because I would love to talk about
Actually, I lied.
Wilds.
It's not a Capri Sun. It's a
I would-
Kool-Aid Jammer. I
Oh,
lied.
I would love to talk
The
about
fridge
Wilds.
has been fake the whole time.
All right, if we're gonna talk about Wild, we have to be done by 10 o'clock.
You should be done. You could do faster than that. I would love to talk about Wilds, but I haven't gotten a chance to actually sit down and play it yet because I work till 10 every night and have not had time. So I'm gonna
feel
play.
that.
I'm gonna play
I
it
work for
after.
3
I'm
days.
gonna play my first play session after this podcast, and I'm gonna play more tomorrow night, and I'm gonna play more Tuesday night, and I'm gonna play all fucking day
So
Wednesday and
Sean,
Thursday.
we're gonna play together like best friends do.
Maybe at some
I'll make
point,
a
yeah.
I'll make
I
a
would
new
gladly hop and do
character
any of
to
the
play
early
with you.
hunts just to play them and get hunter rank.
I will let you know about Tuesday, Wednesday. If you, I'll shoot you a message when I play, and if you're around, probably Wednesday more, because I'll have my foot in the game actually, and we'll be able to do content.
I mean, I'm very low level because I'm just getting started with my fiance, but I might make a second account
When
just
I-
to grind my own.
When I talked with Ego, he was on chapter 2, is what he said to me.
When I get my next check, most likely I'll be picking it up because I know Cody wants to play it as well. So
Also, you should show them the video that you made today
After or during podcast.
for them to watch and comment on while we're talking about Monster Hunter Wilds.
I won't be able to watch it because they'll pick up. But
You
Yes.
got a phone. Like they got the link real quick.
But yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm significantly in the game that John is. If John wants to start his
I'm
thoughts
very
on
early.
it.
I killed Fire Spider. I played it today. I didn't sleep very much, in case you couldn't tell by the number of math that equals, because I worked yesterday, / this morning. So my thoughts might be a little scattered today, but new game came out. I want to play with my fiance. I played new game with fiance, and then I played Pokemon because I like mistakes in my life, and we'll talk about that when Austin gets his turn. But yeah, it's a good game. It's really fun. This is my first ever experience with Monster Hunter, period. I've never played the games before at all. It's cool. It's neat. I'm not like super like, oh fuck, I'm in, compared to like some games I've been in, but like it feels like a slow burn that's like a grind off, right? And so that's fine by me. I like these games that are like big time sinks, as I've been ranting about Civ for the last 2 weeks and have like checks notes. 78 hours in Civ. It came out 2 weeks ago. I work 6 of those 14 days. Do the math.
Anything to keep you from going back to League of Legends, you know?
I have not played League of Legends in the calendar year of 2025.
Absolutely massive.
So happy. And honestly, I picked the best season to just take a fucking step back, because everything has just been.
The map looks really cool.
What are you talking about? How would you know? You haven't played the game. You should try it just to see the
Fucking game tech revived back in the game. Riot said, "Hey, Overwatch killed their game by removing loot boxes. Let's try that trick." And then everyone went, "Why the fuck are you doing that, Riot?" And they went, "Oh, fuck, you're right. You get like 6 loot boxes a year." And everyone went, "Cool. What about the honor rewards?" And they went, "No. Be racist. We don't care anymore. Be toxic. It's funny. We want to kill our game so we can make League of Legends 2 and then have a rival like DC come in and swoop in and use all their big characters to make their own." Oh, sorry, I'm just projecting Marvel Rivals on this, but
look, Marvel Rivals is great.
But listen, Monster Hunter Wilds is really cool. I spent too long in the character creator because I do that a lot in those games. Not as bad as BG3.
BG3 is also significantly more in depth.
You also
And
really
it's so
can't
much- I mean, I guess I don't
can't change as much later on. It costs stuff, but yeah, no, it's a really cool game. I really am enjoying it so far, and I want to play more because I want to like really get into it. It's a lot to start out in because they're like, "Hey, let me drop you into this cutscene that you're playing in. Hey, pick your class." There's like 14 of them. They all have different combos and different unique moves. And playing keyboard and mouse is a mistake, so don't do that. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it though. What do you guys think? What do you think of it so far, Michael?
Oh,
As a veteran.
I mean, No, this is my first game I've actually like really played. I owned 3 for the 3DS. I think I played it for 20 minutes, combined. I then gave it to someone at some point. I played World for probably like 10-ish hours. I got through the first like major story segment, I would consider it. But yeah, this game, yeah, I have hit high rank. I have 24 hours in the game already. The game came out 3 days ago. Do the math. That's 8 hours per day average.
Oh damn, he did the math.
Yeah, we did it.
Oh
We
shit.
did the monster math.
He did the monster man.
His game's pretty good. Sword and Shield is a really fun weapon. You get to do
Yeah,
silly things.
Yeah, I'm more of a Scarlet Violet kind of guy, but I agree.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I hate the fucking dogs, but that's a whole nother Pokemon story.
And it certainly is. It is definitely a lot to look at those weapons and kind of go, oh, that's a lot right there. The game, I think, does still give you a second to kind of play around with them before you actually lock one in. I think the game also gives you like the basic version of everything. Gives you like the hope version 1, which is like the
full
very
set of hope
basic like,
armor.
just thing. Yeah. Yeah, it is really funny because like it's also my brain's looping back to like the hero shooting. That you look at it, you go, that's just a lot of things and that don't play how like my brain expects anything to play in this kind of environment. Because they all need to be unique. They can't have anything be like super crazy bonkers stupid unless it's called longsword. So like everything has to have like a pretty small set of combo trees. Like sword and shield, you got like 3.
Wait, why is
4
Longsword
combos.
stupid? You have to explain.
Longsword was added in Iceborne, I'm pretty sure, and it's just like the.
No,
it
it was
just-
in
it just-
it was in base
Oh,
game.
was it in bit?
Yes.
Longsword's just kind of like the love child of that game, from what I understand. It just kind of does everything. I mean, and the
Yeah,
Charge Blade also
I
has
see
like
it.
18 billion mechanics happening at any given moment. You have 3 different meters you're trying to build up and activate, which all activate on different things. Charge Blade's silly.
Longsword has been around since Monster Hunter 2,
Ah.
so it is a staple weapon. But it is
Longsword's just kind of. Longsword's
is
just the
silly.
anime boy weapon, apparently.
I believe it is technically
is.
the most used weapon.
That makes sense.
all 14 all
But-
14 hunting horn users out there. Go ham kings. But yeah, I've very much enjoyed the game. The plot's kind of simple, but that's not why I'm playing this game. I'm playing to fight big monsters. The plot's good enough though. I think there are definitely some really good moments. I think some of these set pieces are absolutely fantastic. Fighting a lightning dragon in a desert with a lightning storm
Spoilers.
happening.
But that sounds sick.
Yeah, it's the lightning storm in the desert might be the coolest set piece that I don't know how I've never seen in a game before. Like, why is this not in every game?
Because
It's kind of awesome.
because lightning needs precipitation usually and and high
Eh,
energy.
It's fine.
Desert don't have water to create particles for clouds for lightning. I mean, there's dry
Like, yeah,
lightning,
it's-
but
also notoriously difficult on system hardware.
yeah,
Certifiably running this game on absolute potato settings. You can tell when it's really funny when a character's like on screen. You can see like the model for their face is really really well done, but then you see like the texture on it's like as like really I can't find a
Glossy,
resolution, like
right?
really really bad resolution. And then their hand pops up on screen, and the hand is a conglomeration of maybe a total of 40 shapes to create the entire hand. Like you can see the triangles making their fingers. It's something when you're on absolutely lowest model settings. But it still hasn't made the game
Graves.
not be awesome.
yeah,
Game's really good. Really fun.
game's good. I just like coming and fighting big monster. You're right. That really is just the core gameplay. Is go fight big monster. It cool, and you're like, yeah, fuck it, it cool. You're right, game. You're right.
Like nothing quite beats getting like 3 perfect blocks in a row with sword and shield to then get a power clash, and then power clashing a big fucking dragon by just spamming a button and pushing it away. It's sick. Power clash might be the coolest thing ever, and it's a thing I didn't get to do in World because I was playing on a Switch Axe in that game. and that doesn't have a block button. I'm pretty sure. If it does, or it may have had an out, which is bad. I don't know.
if it does, it's news to you.
Yeah.
No, it's super cool what they're doing with the game and like the whole like way it plays and stuff. I think it's just like I think it's just really neat. Like
Yeah.
it just really makes you feel like super powerful, and that's really fun to me. Austin, what have you been up to? Because you've been having a lot of fun this weekend. Well, fun's a strong word.
Fun is a word.
Would you use it?
I spent like a bit of the week playing Pokemon and just trying to get you people in best of one where they don't know your moves and they don't know your items. So I just surprise them and I get to click Eruption and kill both their mons before they realize what happened to them. I also got talked to by a really big weirdo at the bar on Friday. That was not fun at all.
I'm sorry.
What?
I got and I got called
Sorry.
slurs yesterday.
What?
All right.
So it's been a great weekend, Austin.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend.
I didn't know it was that great. I'll be honest. I didn't know it was as
I
fun
was
as
just
that.
literally just yelling out the window slurs at like everyone that walked past, and I just happened to be one of the people that he was.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's on you, honestly. You shouldn't have walked past.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my bad.
That's-
My bad
Yeah,
for
that's
walking there.
how dare you invade
yeah,
that
it
zone.
was an eventful weekend to say the least.
Yeah, so what Austin's talking about is the Grand Challenge Pokemon puts on, which is a online tournament that is in the lovely format that we all love and adore, called Best of One closed team sheets, which means you don't know anything about their team, which is really scary in a format that has high powered Pokemon like I don't know Calyrex Shadow Rider and Calyrex Ice Rider. You know, it's a common trend, and it just tells you, hey, if they have that one thing that you really don't want them to have, you probably just lose. And then 9 times out of 10, when you think about that one thing, you're like, shit. And then it happens. But the team Austin ran is the team I ran for the previous one. Something very similar, which is Eruption Entei. Now, Entei is a Pokemon that usually is a physical attacker because it gets Sacred Fire, it gets some cool stuff. Eruption's a very silly move because it's 150 base power at full HP, and Entei is one of the fastest Pokemon that can get it, but no one thinks of it that way. So what you do is you just kind of lead it with ground on. Everyone's like, he's gonna do this physical attack and stuff. I'm gonna do this, and you're just Choice Scarf Entei, and you go. And if they don't have rain or a way to remove the weather or a way to outspeed you, a lot of things just kind of get dusted, and it's really silly. At least there's some funny clips. I ran a team, also kind of silly, not as successful as my last GC, but mine had fun Pokemon like Iron Valiant with Destiny Bond. Yes, I have clips of Destiny Bond working. It is as funny as you think. I lost some of those games.
But you still got the clips, which is the most important.
But I got the clips, and that's what really matters. Game good. Well, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's tough. Tough sledding out there. But yeah. What about you, Mason? What have you been up to?
I'm gonna be honest, not a whole lot. I worked a lot this week. We had a reset. We had a reset done at my store, so my entire store got shifted around and put into different places. So that was a fun adjustment. Some other things that I should not talk about, but it's fine. And then I played Marvel Rivals quite a bit. Finally starting to get the hang of at least one of the new characters. The thing is a funny character. He's just a wall. That's all he does.
He's rock solid.
He's a bit rock solid. He just runs at you. That's all he does. He just runs at you and he punches you. And you can't kill him because he's just rocks. Aside from that, RuneScape Double XP is ending tomorrow, so I've worked a lot in that.
He put your 9 to 5.
Look, it basically is. I sit there and click my brightly shining colored dead robots and move to the next one when it changes colors. and just keep doing that for like 8 hours, filling up jars. That's what I've been doing for the past 3 days.
Filling up jars.
Yep. Fill up jars, throw them into the hole to the underworld, go back to filling up jars.
Show them into the evil pit of darkness.
It's in a place called the Hall of Memories, and it throws them into what is essentially the void between dimensions.
Oh, TASOKARE Hotel. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, guys, we're an anime podcast. I remembered sometimes.
Don't worry, I'm doing things that are anime adjacent when we talk about me.
I know,
so-
that's why I'm helping. That's why I'm helping.
I also downloaded the demo for 100 Line Defense Academy.
Ooh.
I haven't actually played it yet, but I downloaded it.
I've also
It's there.
downloaded it. I also have not played it yet. Just like how I also have a copy of Avowed sitting on my computer.
Fair.
I completely forgot that was like releasing so soon.
Wait, yeah, Avowed's on Game Pass, right?
Yes, which is why I have a
Okay.
copy of it on my computer.
Yeah, I was like, I'm wondering. I was like, I assume that's what it was.
Aside from that, I've been playing a good amount of Hades 2 as well. I've been
Oh,
trying
they
to
had
get
the
to the
big
new
patch,
area.
right?
Yeah, we finally got the last area of the surface. Good luck getting to it, because that last boss of the third area of the surface is tough, to
Is
say
that-
the least.
Is that the fight against
When I played last, I think it was
Boy
the
and his
secondary
bird.
surface that was left. Right?
Hmm?
A boy and his bird,
Oh, okay.
for the people who have
Nope.
not
Right,
played
right,
the
right,
game.
right, right. I haven't done that one yet, but I do know about it.
I've not gone that far either yet. But
Yeah.
I understand.
It is a tough fight. All I can say is it's like fighting against a D&D monk at level like 10.
Mm.
Aside from that, I've played my my usual RPGs, tabletop RPGs. And I think that's about it for me. I haven't really done that much this week. I've been busy.
Yeah, that's good, man. I get it. I've been working, so
Yeah.
this is my one day to be a degenerate, and I chose to do it because I was like, Amber has to work tomorrow, and she has dance practice tomorrow, so we wouldn't be able to play Monster Hunter tomorrow. And I really want to play it.
Fair.
Honestly,
We're doing it.
I'm leaning.
We're just not sleeping.
I'm weirdly leaning more towards getting Civ 7 than I am towards getting Monad
That's-
Wilds.
Listen, I will play either game with you, Mason. You know my schedule. You know my life.
Fair.
I play
Mm.
games at bad hours, and if you're around for that, cool. We get along great.
So let me run through my non manga stuff real quick.
All right, Lemon's Peak, by the way.
That is. I'm
A
not gonna.
fucking- one of
I'm
the-
not-
one of my favorite panels of all time this week.
I am not gonna be talking about it because I feel like I'm gonna try to talk about the things I don't usually talk about for manga this week. So I'm talking about, I think, one thing out of Shonen Jump. Everything else is gonna come from other stuff, i.e. Jump Plus. But before that, on Thursday, we killed Strahd as much as one can kill Strahd. I dealt the finishing blow to Strahd with a critical hit from my oath bow that did 106 damage to him in one shot. We have fun. We have fun in D&D.
Did you say that was the last Strahd?
Yeah, it was really good. Really thematic thing that whether or not Painless planned it, I believe this is correct lore, and it just happened to sync up really well with the character I am playing. Part of Strahd's lore is that he almost dies. It's part of why he goes through with this deal to become a vampire. He almost dies on his conquest of like the area that is Barovia. And he almost dies from a poisoned arrow. And we are being told this story by a group of traveling storytellers who go in and out of Barovia without problems because they made deals with Strahd. And they're telling the story and they go, he was shot by a poisoned arrow, a coward's weapon. And my ranger is sitting there listening to this like, yeah, it'd be crazy if I have the poisoner feat and have been using poisoned arrows the entire campaign. It would be surely a wild thing to just be sitting here. And so I get to do the fun thing thematically in the game, which is start being the person who actually gets to deal damage to Strahd because I have an oath bow and I get to do some crazy ass damage to him. And I get to use my poisoned arrows And upon the first poison arrow hitting and working, Strahd turns to me and goes, "What the fuck did you just do?" And my DM was like, "Yeah, this is the first time he seems a little panicked. You actually maybe have him worried for a hot minute because you've hit him with something that almost killed him once before." And I thematically got to have the final shot on him, which is wonderful. It works great. I love it when the narrative comes around very nicely.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Exactly. So that is fun. We're finally out of Barovia. What was supposed to be like a 3 to 4 session event turned into like 8 sessions because we fucked around and got our shit kicked in once by Strahd.
Is that Rick and Morty anymore, guys? Quick in and out.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh god.
What's really funny about this is that our campaign is the thing that decides when we start Painless's next 3 campaigns, because he's running 3 in the same world at the same time. Where he's gonna run 2 1 week, 1 the next week. And that is going to be his life for like probably 2 years, given how it sounds like he wants to run this. This is going from level 1 to level 20. We're locked in for that. But Painless has been telling me, he's like, the earliest start time is probably April, because this campaign has to end first. And so that session where we didn't get out of Barovia quick, I guess we're delaying the next 3 campaigns a little bit here. Whoopsie. Uh-oh. They're gonna have to wait for us to finish, because half of us in that campaign are playing in his next one. So that's fun. I played a thing I got to play a little bit of before Wilds came out, that I will probably be putting down until I feel like I have time, or when I come home from a day at work and go, I don't have time to sink in just 2 monster quests from Wilds, I'll play something else for an hour. I've been playing a bit of Darkest Deity. This is a Fire Emblem-like that is getting its 2nd game soon. The demo's out for its 2nd game. I've been meaning to play around with it. I am liking it so far. I'll get back to you on more about that when I am farther than like 3 or 4 chapters into it. The cool thing about it that I'm really excited about is that if I like this game, it has a built-in randomizer feature to it, which I think is rad. So it can randomize recruitment order. It can randomize a bunch of shit that's you would want to do in a Fire Emblem randomizer, which is really neat and really fun. So I'm hoping I like the game so that I can take advantage of that fact. Now it's time to talk manga real quick. So I don't know if I talked about it when tell me if you think I talked about this on the podcast, and if so, I'll skip it. Did I talk about Smother Me when it ended?
I think you mentioned it in the group chat, but that was it.
So Smother Me.
I peeked at it for 2 seconds and I forgot.
Smother Me. I could not tell you off the top of my head how long it was. I want to say it was like 16 chapters. And the idea is that it was always intended to be short. It was 15 chapters. That's the manga that takes place in Detroit, America. Real ass Detroit, America, and is all about people killing each other. As you write a story about Detroit, America. Yeah.
As you do in Detroit, America. I've been there.
Yeah. I thematically really like what that story does. I don't think it's anything insane. By far, the thing that elevates that is its color. When that manga decides to do full color, its colors are really cool and it's really striking and it really suits the art style. It would be a neat thing to see adapted. I'm just not sure if it needs to be. It's one of those things where it's like you would have to get a really, really good studio to nail this as an adaptation, because of the fact that like, how do you do the color when the whole thing isn't always in color, and the fact that the parts that are in color are like really, really, they stand out. Like if you're gonna make everything color, then what you have to like follow the pattern the whole way through, and that's tricky. So that was the thing that ended a while ago. In addition to that, just this past week, Magakuro Scramble ended. This was a rom-com. It was a romance, and there was comedy, about people who just have innate superpowers. It's like family bloodline stuff, but they don't dive too deep into it ever. The main characters is that he can read people's thoughts, so he doesn't like people because that's a lot to do constantly, and people don't like him because they think he's weird.
That's a lot to manage constantly.
He meets a girl who is absolutely down bad for him, and of course he knows this because he can read her thoughts, and he wants nothing to do with her until he wants everything to do with her because she is pretty good. her whole thing is that she has a second smaller her inside of her head, that I don't think is bloodline related, but is a bit they run for a while, where she just has like a second her that's a lot more outspoken and a mini her inside her head, kind of like Kaguya. Her actual problem is that she constantly invites danger. She's a danger button. She's just unluck. And so a bunch of other people with special bloodlines chase after her. This is also like a 16 chapter manga. It's pretty short. It's hard to say whether it was gonna go longer or not, because they open chapter 1 with something, and chapter 15 loops it to that. And it's like, it's hard to gauge. It doesn't feel like they pushed that event any further forward than where it was gonna be. And so it just feels like you hit this, you probably could have continued this more afterwards. It's a neat, fun little time. I also don't think it's anything particularly to rant home about. Some new things have started. The first I think I talked about briefly, which is My Marriage to Seneca, which is from the Romantic Killer author. I like this a lot more than Romantic Killer, and I enjoyed Romantic Killer. This is about a guy who goes to visit his grandfather's estate after he has passed. He has like a nice little house in the woods, and he finds a tanuki there. I explained this briefly, I think. And he eats some mochi that shows up one night, and they are now married. He's now married to a tanuki goddess. And they have kind of this like dynamic of, well, I guess you're gonna stay here because we're married and you're gonna fix up the house. It has a lot of really nice themes to it. I really like this main character. He is wonderful. And every character they've introduced so far is adorable, and they're great. We have 3 different deities, counting the main one so far, and all 3 of them are wonderful. One's a squirrel who likes to eat a bunch of shit, and the newest one we got is a dog, and he's great. I really think that's worth checking out. 2 things I'm not sure if they will be worth checking out. Actually, this is gonna be 3, but I'll be a little bit nicer about the other one. The first is Love is Overkill, which is about a person who works as, oh my god, Undertaker's the way that's coming to my mind, but I can't think of the actual...
Mortician?
Yeah, a mortician for, like, a prison. And she's never had a love life, and then this really hot murderer comes in, and she's like, shit, he's kind of cute. And then he dies, and she goes, well, I gotta make him look real pretty at least. And then she brings him back to life accidentally.
Yep.
And now she has legally made him her property because he had no family to take his corpse. So she made
Hoppy, this motherfucker's my property.
yeah, she made his corpse her property, and so when he wakes up, she goes, "We're gonna get married." This is from the author of Handsome Must Die. The art style and the comedy is certainly something. I'm not particularly sold, but it's interesting. I'll give it that. Today, Chuck Beans came out. This is by the author of Service Wars, which I have not read. I don't know how to describe Chuck Beans, besides that there is an entity known as Chuck Beans, who has come from the future to help the most normal guy I've ever seen try not to live the most boring and depressed life ever, which is apparently the path he is on. The entire first chapter is Chuck Beans trying to get into his house, and the guy going, no, and then he calls the cops on Chuck Beans, and Chuck Beans runs away. And the first chapter ends with Chuck Beans essentially going, if this was a manga, you would have let me in your house already. And that's this manga's comedy. I don't know what to think about it besides it's called Chuck Beans, this little bean guy who might be an android from the future named Chuck Beans. Yeah.
You had me at Chuck Beans.
Yeah. Additionally, another new manga... Actually, I think Chuck Beans started yesterday. A new manga that started today is called Ashi Dribbles Through. This is about a 13-year-old girl who's really good at soccer. Wouldn't it be? Sorry, other dribbling sport came to mind. Who's really good at soccer, except she's never once played on a soccer team or club. She just learned from her dad. And she encounters the ace of the middle school soccer team, and he thinks she accidentally dribbles around him in the morning, and he goes, "Wait a minute, I didn't know you knew how to play soccer. I didn't know you did anything. You're actually kind of cute. Let's play soccer together."
She got feet though.
And then they end the chapter with a bit where they're apparently gonna keep doing one-on-ones against each other, and and they're gonna make a bet, and if he wins, she has to join the boys' soccer team because that's okay in middle school apparently.
Yeah, so that's middle school.
People are really down on this first chapter because there is a panty shot in it, and she is indeed 13. But the context of this is that she leaps over his head while dribbling, like she dribbles the ball ahead and jumps, and so it's a shot of her.
Kind of on her.
It's really no, it's still on the author because realistically, why is she playing soccer in a skirt? But also like
Real.
it's a this is a matter of like it's one panel out of 65 or whatever it is for the first chapter. So like, is this a one-off thing that like was here because it's the first week of it and they're trying to get a couple of extra clicks or what? But it is something to open the manga going, she is indeed 13 and making a very clear point of that and to then still have it. I will probably read a little more of this. I don't know how many soccer manga I can read at once. I'm already too deep, and I like Embers, and I like Catanacchio, the Italian one, a lot. Like, a lot. So we'll see. Those are all the new things. And then real quick, I want to talk about 3 things I am reading that I think you should definitely be reading 2 of them, and the other one is interesting, and I wish I could recommend it, but I have a hard time doing it. Ruri Dragon's fucking incredible. This manga has been so good for the past couple of releases it's had, and I really like what it's doing. And its art's so fucking pretty, it only gets prettier every week.
The Sports Festival arc has just been really good.
Yeah. The second is Nightlight Hounds, and I cannot express to you how fucking cool Nightlight Hounds art is. And I get these fun, cool art panels because when they don't release a chapter, they release extra art as their thing. And I fucked this manga rules. The author has said that this next arc is gonna, like, the next chapter is gonna enter, like, a really pivotal big thing for the story. It's still early. I'm excited. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we get to anime, is The Days of Diamond. The Days of Diamond is a baseball manga, and I've been reading this for quite a while. I've talked about this briefly, but The Days of Diamond's premise is that the main character is really good at baseball. The manga starts when he is in elementary school, and at this point he's like starting middle, essentially, I believe. I think that's right. It might even start before he's in elementary school. I'm not sure. But the idea is that he's played a lot of sports before, and he's just generally pretty athletically gifted because he's a big kid for his age. Like, tall kid for his age. So he's really good at certain sports because he has, like, a genetic advantage, and then he's also he just picks up things pretty well. And he winds up basically dropping every sport because every time he plays, every kid and every parent is like, it's not fair how good he is and how much attention he gets. And then he picks up baseball, and he plays with a really bad Little League team that's like, it doesn't matter if we win or lose, we're playing to have fun. And he has a pretty okay time with it because there's no pressure. And then suddenly there's lots of pressure on him, and people want him to play, like, at a higher level because he's good. We have entered an arc of this story where the essential premise is, like, this is the chapter it dawned on me that what they've essentially set up is they have given us a matchup with another team where they are running the other team is running their B team because it's a practice kind of throwaway game. It doesn't actually matter for them, and they want to get the other players experience playing. And there is a kid on the team who's been friends with the main character and who talks a lot about baseball. And the main character's only recently found out that he's never fucking started in a single game ever, and yet he acts like and talks to him like he knows everything about baseball. And the kid kind of does because he's smart. And what's essentially been set up is that this kid is going to go up to bat, and the main character's a pitcher. And his whole thing lately, as the main character said, he's been pitching. He's been pitching games where he walks most people and then strikes out a bunch of other. He basically limits the amount of hits people get and limits the amount of people whose, like, souls he has to crush by having perfect games. Because he just doesn't want to hurt anybody anymore through being a god tier pitcher, is essentially the premise. And what they've set up here is that he's finally kind of snapped, and he wants to kind of pitch. He wants to strike this kid out really bad. And what someone's pointed out to me is what they've essentially done is built up the typical sports underdog story of a main character, except we've been following the villain for most of the time. And this is kind of rad. The problem with Days of the Diamond is that there are times where it's really hard to follow what the fuck's going on. Because it skips around time-wise, like a bit. Like there's a lot of skips year-wise. It's a baseball manga, and I don't want to chalk this up to it just it being a baseball manga, but also it's a baseball manga, which probably doesn't help. Too many of the characters look the fucking same, and I cannot tell you who half the cast is half the time. So it's a little disjointed, but overall I really like what it's doing, and I will probably stick it out until it's done because I'm so far into it.
He's in too deep.
Into
the
deep, yes,
baseball.
into the baseball. And that's all that. Those are those. And you know what that means? It's time to actually start our anime podcast.
Yeah.
That's right. We're here to talk about 7 shows we have left this season of the Save or Slay podcast. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a vote on each of the shows that we think needs to go off this week, and then the show is going to go off this week. We're talking about episode 7s, and of episode 7s, we will spoil things, and there's going to be harsh language. As with every season and episode of the podcast, we have a power ranking.
Power ranking.
Power ranking.
Apparently this is a crazy one.
I have questions for 3 of you.
Mhm.
What the fuck we doing this week, guys?
Having fun.
Are we?
Playing Monster Hunter, probably.
I'm excited to hear some thoughts on some shows this week.
Hey, what the fuck are you doing over there? I get it, actually. I get it. No, I get it.
I'm excited. With that in mind, we're gonna jump into it. Well, I mean, we're gonna really jump. I'm so excited to hear about. Oh man, we get one of these right off rip.
Sean, put it away. Sean, put it away.
Nope.
We gotta
Hey,
get to the podcast first.
hey, Michael. Let's talk about Flower and Asura.
Flower, and I'm pulling up character names because brain is really bad at remembering those.
Because you should.
I actually do know why Mason doesn't like the show this week, and it's particularly because of the screenshot I grabbed. The show simply shouldn't have talked shit.
You know what's crazy, by the way, guys?
Exactly.
we still have our top 5 shows so far. At least this week.
Yeah, you mean the first picks?
Yeah.
Wow, man, we got the first 6. Sure.
Yeah, because mostly we've been chipping away at the back half of the shows.
Honestly,
Yeah.
good on us. Honestly, that means we had some pretty banger first picks.
We've been.
Sadly, Medalist was at the back half somehow.
That's fine.
Anyway.
It's allowed to be there.
Hey,
Yeah.
Okay, Michael.
it'll stay there.
You good?
Okay. So yeah, this this episode is continuing off of where last episode ended. They're continuing off of a thing set up last episode, which was they're doing the TV drama. So, this episode essentially only focuses on the TV drama. It's them going, okay, we got to get a script. Which Akiyama comes in and he goes, guys, I got a script. And then he goes, and they go, okay, what's the general plot? He goes, so there's this girl who wants to be a poet. And then her 2 classmates. But it's like her parents want her to be a doctor, but she wants to be a poet. And she has 2 classmates, a boy and a girl. And it's like, oh, the girl is like really like, she's a go-getter, and the boy's kind of indecisive or whatever. And I sit down and I go, damn, that's just him. Anyway,
Oh shit!
then we learn he's not actually the girl who wants to be a poet in this case. We learned later that this is actually his sister. This is literally just his life. Yes, he's just the guy in this story. They're doing the casting. Hana is the girl who wants to be a poet. An is the other girl in the group, and then they originally want Toga, director boy, to be, and he goes, nah, fuck you, I don't want to do that. You do it. And he goes, sure. But yeah, so they start recording that. And we learn Hana's really good at acting, which makes sense because it's kind of like recitation, but with like a little more body movement in it, especially compared to the other 2 here, right? I mean, even the Anna's done a lot of recitation. Akiyama apparently is very bad at acting, which we learn. But they're doing some stuff, and also within this story, there is a poem that gets read at one point. Wow, she wants to be a poet. Crazy, crazy part of the story that happens there. And this episode's like really big climax moment, is that Hana, being the poet character, does essentially a recitation of the poem for the recording. And she starts saying it. This is a story that Akiyama and his sister had written. We meet his sister in like a random like shot off to the side during one part of the episode, and then we learn more. We see her more later in the episode. But it's a really good reading of it. And two, it's a real pretty set of visuals they do with it. His kind of reaction to this being read to him or being said out loud to him. It's really good. Really good moment there. And then we learn, Akiyama's sister is like this other school in Tokyo or Kyoto, whichever one of the places. So they go and visit her. To go like see it. They were putting on a performance, a like stage play of one of her poems or famous one. I don't actually. They just mentioned the poem's name. I don't actually remember if they say who it's.
I believe it's hers.
It
Felt like it was hers. But there's like a poem called this, and I was like, oh, cool. And then we also learn this school is the same one that Sayonji goes to. You know, the person who got Hana into doing recitations as a kid that she saw online. But the episode kind of ends them kind of getting ready to watch the stage play. This episode's good. I really like what we get with Akiyama this episode. I just kind of like, is his backstory kind of something that's like maybe been done before? Maybe.
Yeah.
I just like what we get with him. I just like it. I also just like the way they do the visuals for Hana's reading of it. It's just good. Good content.
I'll hold and go last since I'm
Okay.
the one
John?
that has it at the bottom.
We know your general thought. You're muted.
Sorry, I was like I sneezed and I didn't know if I was muted or unmuted. And therein lies my life.
You know,
But
the light on your mic is supposed to help you know because you can look at your own webcam and see.
my problem
whether...
is I'm looking at your guys's because I'm trying to be like attentive to the podcast, and my brain goes, "Ooh, pretty colors." Michael talking about show that bores me. But in all seriousness, I mean, for me, it's kind of been the same thing as it has been for most of the season. It's just I just not really into
Nothing's
the
changed.
recitations, and it's like it's unfortunately there's not much the show can do from like its own standpoint to change that, and that's okay. It's still a fine show. I don't have like any gripes with the show. I just like the stuff that's above it better right now. Like I said, and there's something against like things like the Akiyama story being not completely original. Who cares, right? Like everything is inherently been done before. It's a matter of how you adjust that media to make it more interesting, right? And the show does a pretty good job of bringing something new to the table. It's just not something that is really like interesting to me, and therefore it kind of like already is kind of a bit below some of the other shows here.
Austin.
I really liked like what they're like the introductions with Sayonji. Sayonji, is that her name?
Yeah.
Sayonji and Akiyama's sister. And like the very like stark contrast in the way that they like perceive their and talk about their younger sibling or sort of sibling. I think that's going to build into something like really really interesting, and like we're kind of getting into like the drama part of the show rather than it just being like about learning about the recitations and learning how to do them. We're actually getting like a little bit more meat into the plot and like other other people around this our main cast that they've been like kind of alluding to here and there, and I think that's really fun.
I mean, the implication to me for the setup for this is that there is a non-zero chance that Hana and Sayonji are siblings. That seems to
Yeah.
be the pitch that it's going with, given the tone and framing of scenes. Because I don't think we've seen her father yet, if I'm correct. We have too many shows where families are semi-present that it's hard to remember, but I don't think we've seen her dad yet. So it's totally
No, just her
possible.
mom.
It's totally possible. And there's not really another female character we've met outside of the other black-haired senpai who matches up visually as a potential sibling that would be relevant to set this up. And I feel like this is relevant to set up. You don't mention the sibling conflict, and like the difference between them if you're not going somewhere with it. Especially with the way they frame it. The way they frame it really makes me think it's Hana, because of the shots at the end of the episode. I really enjoy this putting together of the movie. I enjoy the acting bits and the interactions we get with the cast as they are starting to put through it. Is it sped up a lot and we don't spend a lot of time on it? Sure. I think that's fine because we're using this as a device to delve into the rest of the cast. And I like where we're going with that. I really like the conversation between Toga and Satoru. I think him basically going, yeah, you're bad at acting, dude. That sucks. But like, I also think you have the capacity to get through this. Let's not bullshit each other. You wouldn't have volunteered if you didn't actually think you could do it. So like, push yourself a little. I think you can do it. Let's go. Like, I like their dynamic. I really do. And I generally like the dynamic of this cast across the board. I don't know. I walked away from this episode feeling like this was my favorite of the week. Because it's another show that I also really like the episode of this week. They're probably about equal. But that episode's complicated in my brain, and we're gonna talk about it when we get there. But for me, I was like, no, I think I really liked this episode this week, and I think it's probably, in my opinion, the best one we've had for it. And I'm excited with what it's teed up for next week.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, for me, it's not even that I really dislike this show, because I do like it. I just genuinely enjoy pretty much every other show more. I'm kind of with John on this one of, I've gotten what I needed out of this concept from this show. And there's not really much more it can do, unless it gets to the like competition point, like next episode to me. And it's not that I like dislike the Akiyama like bit for this episode or anything. It's just, to me, I just like the other shows more. And also, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of them setting up this like, oh, actually Saionji and Hana are sisters the whole time.
Whoa.
It just doesn't, like, that could have been just stated at the beginning, I guess. It didn't need to be this like twist. I don't know.
I'm interested.
Just not something I'm a big fan of.
I'm interested to see what they do with it, because it is not 100% clear to me their age difference, and there's almost an implication in my mind that I don't think Hana knows, because I think if she did, she would have said something. I don't know. Hana to me is the type of character who would be like, I'm just not gonna mention this to people who I'm actively trying to be friends with. Like, it doesn't fit her character for her to be like, yeah, it didn't feel like I should bring this up. Like, especially once he shares that it's his sister doing the poem reading, right? Like, at that point, you have even more reason to bring it up if you knew, which makes me think she doesn't know.
Fair.
Which I think is a interesting idea, and I want to see what they want to do with it if that's the case. It could be a misdirect. You never know.
Fair.
I don't think so. I think this is I think it's telegraphed pretty clear, but interesting.
This just slow style of show, just watching characters vibe. This is my absolute jam. I just
Yeah,
like
I'm a
watching
rock with
characters vibe.
My problem is I I definitely think there are things worse than this. Or definitely things to me that are uncertain. And I'm gonna talk about them when we get there. But before that, sex.
Again.
In the city. Let's go.
So we've got Masagu, who kind of has a little day to himself while Yui's out. While Yui's working a little bit late. So he goes to a little izakaya, gets a beer, and he's like, "This is my time to be alone." And you know, sometimes I just prefer this. And then as he's like drinking and like listening to all the regulars just chat and vibe, he's his mind just keeps drifting back over to you, and he just like snaps it. It's like, no, hold on, this is my time alone. And it's like, oh, an ad pops up. It's like, wait, no, it's I'm thinking about Yui again. It's like, and we just and I mean, as we knew the past like what 7 episodes. I mean, they're down horrendous for each other.
Well, they're
just like some
down.
other people. Just like some other couples that we know.
I was gonna ask a question and I shouldn't. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. We're just gonna keep going. John's
No,
life.
please, Sean, please,
John's
I
life.
insist.
John's life is private. We don't need any insight
Sean, I
to it.
insist. Please, no.
And then he meets up with Yuri after she finishes working. She's like, "You've been drinking, haven't you? Come on, what the heck? You better treat me." And then they go get food and get stuff on like sweets and meat and stuff.
Oh, he gets food all right.
Well, not yet.
And then and then he finds out that he's like, "Oh, it's our 6-month anniversary is coming up. What the fuck do I do about that?" Something I wouldn't know because my relationships have never lasted that long. And so he's like very much trying to decide, like figure out what he wants to do for a milestone like that. So he like kind of like hints to his coworkers. You're kind of a little bit weirded out. Try to debate on whether or not it's like, oh, it should be sweet, should it be jewelry? Oh, and eventually he kind of gets coerced very gently into buying some matching rings. And
Thank you, John.
I know, bro's trolling, bro.
We're gonna talk. John and I are gonna talk about this.
Well, let me tell you, that shit's expensive, bro.
And it's trying to book a nice restaurants in all in secret, so that because Yui asked him, "Hey, are you free on Saturday?" He's like, "No, I'll be studying." And then she sees him out like fucking around trying to figure out what to buy, and she starts to get a little suspicious, and she gets like very suspicious, and then she just like outright confronts him about it, and he's like, "Bro, what the fuck? You've been sneaking around. It's like I saw you out.
Sneaky.
Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, and eventually he just like kind of like fesses up. He's like, "Oh, I wanted to surprise you for our anniversary because it's tomorrow." And then they're like, "Oh," and then they have sex.
It's literally, oh god damn it, he's cute.
Yeah, And then at the end of the episode, she's just like, going about her workday. She's like looking at her ring, like smiling about it, and eventually she, like kind of, it's very much noticed by her coworkers, and she eventually tells them that I've been seeing someone for a while, and it's our 6 months anniversary. So it's starting to become a little bit less of a secret in the office, but still does not confirm specifically who she is seeing.
Yeah, because
I would never confirm nor deny my relationship with this man.
he wears his ring as a necklace.
Ah, clever.
Yeah. So real quick, John.
Yeah,
6 months. Rings, matching rings at 6 months.
I don't know, man. Japan's weird.
I know. I know
Listen,
people.
man,
I know people
I was
in the
wondering-
U.S. who also do this.
Listen, I've been with my lady for like 2 years, and I only got 1 ring. I couldn't even afford 2. Like, I did buy a house, so I guess that's kind of like a second one. That's like my ring, I guess. But
I'm a big proponent that like every piece of jewelry goes, like, is fine for gifts, except for like rings.
I think it's like it's person to person.
Yeah.
Is from like my very little and brief experience. I think it's just individualistic. Like if that's what people are into, that's what people are into. Everyone's got different jewelry preferences. Like for example, that me and Amber are cringe, so we have like we have my name is on a necklace that she has, and her name is on a necklace I have. That is just
Yeah.
a little simple like silver bar that we found on like Etsy or something because we just thought it was cute when we were. It was like 6 months.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we did.
I
around
had
that time.
I had shit
And
like
so-
that. I had shit like this in my last relationship. It's just it was very much a I don't know. To me 6 months in matching rings is crazy.
He's moving a little
To
bit
be-
fast there.
To be,
me,
to be
dog.
fair, I think that like, from what if like, maybe it's just like a very common thing in a lot of like
Could be like an Eastern
manga.
culture thing.
It's like Japanese couples like get engaged like and married like really fast for like
Fair.
compared to like I guess what's normal or at least like what I've seen from like American relationships because like I know people that have been engaged for like
Too long.
more people that have been engaged for
Too
like
long.
10 years and then
it reminds
like
me of that like
Japanese
sorry,
people
go
like it's like, oh yeah, we started dating last year and we're about to get married. I'm like, okay, sure.
it reminds me of there was a there's like this video like this old TV show where they're like business people. And it's like older white businessman approaches this older white woman and says, Sharon, I'm looking to settle down.
Yeah.
She's like, well, it's about time you asked. And they go back and forth on like the agreements. And he's like, Cabo. She's like, Hawaii. And they're like, it's not gonna work. Well, we tried. Shakes hands and they walk away.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like. Except they say, yep, sure, sounds good, and that's it. They're married, done.
Other wild thing to me out of
love
this
that fucking video.
episode
It's funny as hell.
is that she is not paying attention at all to this anniversary date, and that's
It's
something,
not-
all right.
It's different for everybody,
It's different
man.
for
like
it's
I
different
said,
for
you know?
everybody.
I try to remain impartial about that because everyone's just a little bit different with their relationships and stuff. And like, listen, man, people are people.
I
Like-
know. My personal experience though is I so very rarely find significant others or see people significant others who are not very on top of that shit.
Oh, they're on top in this show.
Well, no, she very much was.
Sorry, it's
No,
just right
you're
there.
you're right, John. It is very fitting. She very much was not on top
much
of
like
it.
his nut sacks. It's just low hanging fruit right there. Just like,
I like this show. He needs to tell better lies. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
At least,
it's
at least
hard.
say you're gonna. At least say that like you have to go. You have to do some shopping, but for most of the day,
so
like it's so.
hard.
No, it's so easy to get a better one.
No,
than
it's
that.
not.
He's
When you're under
so bad.
pressure, dude, when you're under the time pressure like that, listen, having
He's
to,
not.
like
He wasn't
tell-
asked face to face. He was texted. Are you free?
having to explain to Amber why I was gonna be late going to round 1 so I could ask her dad for permission to propose and make like a detour and then like circle back around to round 1 afterwards was a whole fucking
How hard?
lunacy of a cycle.
How hard was it for him to be like, I have to go do some shopping, but for most of the day I'm really busy. It's just not gonna work.
I don't know, man. He's fucking
Cover-
stupid.
Exactly.
You know what I tell you?
Cover your fucking ass.
But like, he's dumb. He's in love, bro.
he also definitely
He doesn't-
doesn't make enough money to afford that fucking Skyview restaurant. I refuse to
Right.
believe. But good
Oh,
for
man,
him,
Japan built different.
That shit's that shit's expensive though. Like
right? That's what
I,
I'm saying.
like
got-
I went to like a restaurant like at the top of Tokyo Sky. I think it's Skytree.
Skytree.
I wasn't paying for it, but also like on a normal ass day that was like very expensive. So I cannot imagine what that would be like on like I mean, it's probably not like on like a premium day like Christmas or something like that, but still.
Expensive, man. It doesn't matter what day, where. Money's
Well-
money.
But I like the show. I had a good time this week. I thought it was good.
It's very silly. It's very cutesy. It's very much just like this is just what you're gonna get week in and week out, and it's gonna make you feel, it's making you smile. It's gonna make you cringe a little bit, but like any like, oh, they're just stupid idiots kind of way. Like how our friends cringe around me and my fiance. But no, I like the show because I'm biased. That's what it comes down to. I like these two. They're cute. They're stupid. It's a good time.
I did really like the conversation they do have when she does end up confronting him about it.
Yeah.
Like they handle that in such a good something like as it's starting, I'm like, I don't need like it. The immediate pain because like so many rom-coms have
Every
shit
TV
like
show you
that
ever
that
watch.
immediately goes into such annoying territory, and I go, okay, no, they're handling this like adults.
Because
Wow, this is like a good way to do this. It's just really good. Um,
Communication.
one of my favorite parts of this episode, outside of that, is when he goes into the store and I'm like, damn, this is like the greatest jewelry salesman that has ever existed.
Yep.
Salesperson that has ever existed.
fucking gets it, bro.
Like, yeah, I'm like, she gets commissions.
Well, I fucking-
she
Right.
gets sales.
Well, low key, when I went to get my ring, side story, I totally like scammed a store and that like I literally went to get all the things I wanted to know about it from like the fancy like store, you know, like the K Jewelers or whatever, the big brand store, and then went to like a cousin of my dad's son who owns a jewelry store, and way easier and cheaper than going through the mainline ones.
Yep.
And also happens to be a super nice guy. Shouts to my distant relatives who hooked me up with that and got stuff figured out and got it just literally barely on time for everything. Like again, side note, I picked up the ring and we left to go to Holland for the Tulip Festival or Holland Tulip Festival the next day. For the weekend.
But
So
you didn't want to get mailed. You didn't want to get it mailed to Holland.
it doesn't get mailed. That's the problem. It's got to get like set and everything. It's like a whole process I was learning about because I had to learn about this shit.
But it could be.
But in theory, yes, it could be. But romance is hard, bros. It's expensive. Don't get married.
I enjoy this show. Like these characters are fun. I know exactly what I'm getting with this show every week, and also part of what I'm getting every week is seeing them fuck. So
Let's go.
it certainly is a thing that I have to watch in my
Yeah.
living room.
Well, I mean, no
That's-
one's making you watch it.
Well,
I mean,
no,
in
but,
some
like,
people's living
it's
room,
the
it's just
most-
normal commonplace.
It's the most convenient place for me to watch it
Fair.
without having to like go through some back end ways. But
Are you a cuck if you watch a show and you enjoy it, or is that only if you like the sex part?
That's it. There actually has to like. Okay, two things. One, not what that word means. Two, there actually has to be sex involved. Like you have, like this does not equate at all to what would be needed for the amount to even have that
I should have
discussion.
prefaced with
Lo-
this
looking
is a
at
joke.
looking
but
at
I had
Mason
to
in the
say it.
chair in the corner of the room.
He's just staring at the TV. It's just like straight face, just like.
So ZENSHU. I'm excited.
ZENSHU.
I'm excited, by the way, that we basically get to go. Show we really need to talk about. Calm down show. Show we really need to talk about. Show we really need to talk about. Calm down shows for the whole rest of the podcast.
So ZENSHU this week, we basically just got the what you need to know about Natsuko Hirose and her life. So this episode starts off where we get Natsuko as like a little girl. I think she's like 8. And it starts off by following one of her classmates who sees Natsuko as like the kind of weird girl, but she gets really into animation after they go to see Tale of Perishing as a class, and just keeps
Crazy
drawing
movie to
it
see
all-
as kids, by the way.
Yeah,
Is it-
wild.
It's
to
like
take
it's like going to see Princess Mononoke. You probably shouldn't take 8-year-olds to it, but like it's an animation
how would you
cornerstone.
know?
It's an animation cornerstone for Japan. I think culturally it makes. It's like showing kids Bridge of Terabithia in the classroom.
Okay,
yeah,
that,
that's fair.
yeah, that one's fair.
Doesn't mean I have to like it.
True. Fair.
So, they like Natsuko ends up just like drawing a bunch in class, and this girl just really enjoys the fact that she doesn't think of herself as weird. She just like doesn't care what other people think, and cries when she's leaving, transferring to a different school. And Natsuko gives her a drawing of her with Luke. And then we move on to the next person who had a crush on Natsuko, who is, I don't remember his name, but he's a track boy. And Natsuko just is demanding of him the whole time of, do this thing so I can draw you doing it. I need to focus on your Adam's apple and see how it moves when you're drinking. Hey, run really fast because I want to see an after image after watching Looney Tunes, essentially.
Honestly based.
And then he does that and gets so good at running, he sets prefectural records. And then tries to ask Natsuko out, and she goes, I don't know you, man, no. And actively calls him by the wrong name. And then we get to Natsuko in college. Or, well, she's a high schooler, but she's
Yeah.
going to college. Where we meet the head of the animation club, I guess, essentially. Where she's getting kind of hired in to help them finish out this like student project that turns out to be the first like big hit that she gets known for. She becomes the director very quickly, and at this point in the episode, Mappa decides to just take pot shots at other animation studios and just be a trigger anime for a while. And from here, we then kind of see her rise into getting into the animation industry. And then the last bit of this like section of this is from the president of the animation company that Natsuko's at before she died. And basically we just see what happens right before Natsuko dies, where she gets the chance to like fully take the reins on the project, be the creative director for a project, and just working herself to death basically before actually dying. And then we cut to, it turns out this was all just her dreaming apparently, and just having a nice little laugh with the rest of the nine heroes or whatever they are. Nine soldiers, that's what it is. And asking the question of, is this all right, like, for everyone to be laughing, considering how depressing this movie actually is? And just kind of having that thought to herself. And then the weird bird that keeps showing up telling her, no, it's not. That's not okay. And that's how we got the episode. I really enjoyed this episode. It's very interesting getting kind of the cliff notes on how Natsuko was throughout her life, and seeing just the consistency of, I'm doing it myself, I'm doing everything my own way, I don't care what other people think. And seeing the change that being in Tale of Perishing World has caused. I don't know, I just really enjoyed it, and also seeing the little, like, hey, we're going to emulate this studio for a while was pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so it certainly was an episode when I first, like, halfway through it, I was like, this is certainly an interesting thing to do. We did just kind of do like a really big like defense, and we killed like the biggest void that has ever existed last episode. So now we're kind of in some fun times. Well, by the end, I'm like, okay, I do kind of get where we're going with here, because like we are still, Natsuko is still trying to figure out what love is. That is, she's still trying to write or come up in her head with like how to make a rom-com for First Love.
Oh yeah,
the thing she's created. And also, thing I thought was sick this episode does, is that it tells us who the bird is, because we see the director of Tale of Perishing at the beginning of the episode.
Mhm.
That's the same hairstyle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And it appeared at the end. I was like, holy shit! Wait a second. I was like, that's
And
that's it, because that's the first time that we've seen the director for it, or if it's first time
Yeah.
we've seen both the director and the bird in the same episode, so you would actually
Mhm.
like maybe make a connection there.
I think that's the first time we've seen the director.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
I was
We-
like, oh shit, cool ass episode.
This show's just really good.
John.
No, I mean, show good. Like it's at the top for a reason. I mean, it does really cool things. I like what Mason said, where it's like them just taking shots at other industries. I think it's hilarious. Or at other
Studios.
other studios. Thank you. That's the word. I know. The show's just good, even when it's like on a slow week where it's just like this build up of like learn more about Natsuko and learn about like kind of like where she's gone wrong basically before, and how like she's still not really changing, but she's making progress to try and become less of a like self-reliant only person, right? And so I don't know, I just really like ZENSHU. It's good and it's been consistently good, and so it stays where it is on my board, and it's so that's one it's one that I definitely am like excited to watch every week. So I'm like, okay, I wonder what kind of like rabbit out of the hat they're gonna pull, because they've kind of slowly been moving away from the okay monster of the week territory into like the let's actually get down and build the plot now territory.
So Austin, why do you hate it?
So I mean, ZENSHU is a good show. I was not a fan of this episode because I thought that like the flashback was just so long. I thought that I see that they try to they they inject 4 different points of her life where someone falls in love with her and she's just like so obsessed with drawing and animations that she just kind of disregards them and tosses them to the wayside, right? Sort of. But I think that it would have just served much better to like interject that like piece by piece, like a little bit at a time, rather than just like offload it all at once as an entire episode. Like I just didn't really like vibe with the fact that I was just like, oh, it's just it's really long flashback, and like I get we're in some downtime, but it felt like the transition was just like really awkward between the end of the last episode and then the end of this episode.
What's really weird is that I thought this was going to be her recovery time thing. And so, like, while she was in her recovery from drawing, she would do this. But the last fight didn't have a major need to recover because she was drawing stairs. And it's also not that. So it's interesting in that regard. This is the one time it doesn't feel like it felt like you had the actual right way to insert this and you didn't do it. I agree with you in that I think this is an odd episode. Visually, it's fucking incredible, and I love a lot of the stuff they do in it. I particularly really like the track portion of the episode. I think it's absolutely fucking incredible. The longer I sit with this episode, the more I like it, because to me, this episode serves a point of we're about halfway. Why are we doing? What's the point of ZENSHU? And the point of ZENSHU, in my opinion, from what this episode is getting away from, is Natsuko needs to learn what a first love is and what love is, and we are doing that through the only thing she's probably ever loved, outside of animation, which is Tale Perishing. And I think it does some really interesting things. To me, this is the first time I've really stopped and went, oh, she's probably not dead. Like, she's probably gonna wake up at the end of this. And, like, take what she got from here back to actually make this film. Yeah. Like, this is the first time I'm like, oh, this actually does matter. Like, it wasn't just an entry point to the story. Like, we're bringing it back up because it's important. Like, clearly. And it's so important that we're dedicating a whole episode to it. And what I really like, my least favorite part of this episode is the third flashback, is the animation flashback, because I don't like the guy. And I don't think his bits are very good. and like, meh. What I do really like about the structure of it is that how she interacts with each person and how she interacts with animation is different in each level of the flashback. Because when she's a kid, it's just pure passion and fascination for something, right? Like it's not that she's so caught up in drawing and animation she doesn't notice love. It's just that everything is so pure and like childlike that of course nothing comes out of it, right? Like that's the whole point of that. The second one very clearly shows how much she is honing in on animation to the point that she is oblivious to other people around her. And then by the time you hit the third one, it's that she is so good she doesn't need people around her. Like, they're all different levels of it. And then when you get to the modern day set time, it's here are the consequences for how good she's gotten. Is that it's causing problems now. And I really like, after stepping back and seeing that, I really like how this episode frames it. And it, to me, justifies it being essentially the whole episode. That said, like, I couldn't help walk away from this week and be like, part of my brain was like, this felt like probably the best episode of the week, like, visually and, like, as a self-concluded story. But even then, I was like, I think I still like other things better just because it was a little weird. It was a little weird to get this for the whole time.
No, makes sense.
Yep. That's fair.
Overall, though, show good. It's kind of like the common consensus among all of us that we can agree on, which is
Yeah, spoiler alert, I'm not going to shoot the show over like.
But you could.
That week
You
when I
could.
put it up.
But you
I
could, and it would be very
really
funny.
funny.
Would it
It would be
matter if
very
you
funny.
did?
Dude,
Just
watch
vote for all 7. It'll be funnier.
watch John now throw me under the bus by voting ZENSHU, like trying to shoot ZENSHU and then blaming it on me.
I would never do that, Austin. I'm the one who gets targeted by these. I don't target other people.
So now it's time to talk about Sakamoto days. This week, Sakamoto and his family have stepped out of the convenience store to go do parent-teacher conferences or some kind of thing. And so the shop is being run by Shin and Liu, and they get into it because they just fucking can't get along ever when it's just the two of them because they're very different people and they have very different opinions about how things should be run and done. And Liu gets mad at Shin because he reads her mind and she fucking doesn't like it when he does that. And she insults him about it. And then they've also, it's important, they've swapped aprons, because Liu felt like it. I don't
She
remember.
want to get her apron dirty
Yeah,
while
she-
she was cleaning.
Yeah.
want to get hers dirty.
Yeah, she'll get his dirty. And so Shin steps out angrily. And while he stepped out, a bunch of astronauts show up and kidnap Liu because she's wearing Shin's name tag. To which only one of them, a guy named Sebo, goes, "Hey, boss, I don't mean to be that guy. I don't think the pink-haired woman is the blonde-haired assassin who reads minds. I'm gonna be frank with you. There's a lot of things that aren't adding up here." And the boss goes, "I sure hope for our sake you're fucking wrong because we're gonna die if we come back and that's not Shin." Meanwhile,
How's the
Liu's
bro just going like, "Are you fucking stupid? It has the name tag, idiot.
Yeah.
It's a Shin.
it's gotta be. You never. A lot of
Three
things.
Shins in all Japan.
A lot of things could have happened in fucking however long he's been gone. For all we
Listen,
know,
man.
man.
There's a lot of Sakamotos in Japan, but there's only like 3 Shins, so like you got pretty good odds.
Yeah. So Sakamoto comes back and he goes, "Shin, what's going on?" And Shin goes, "Liu's gone." And Sakamoto goes, "Well, it's a good thing I track where all of you are at all times because I don't trust naughty kids to be alone. Also, we're actively being hunted by assassins. Why would I ever leave you unattended?" And so they start tracking down Liu, and Shin starts to make the connection here that this is people coming after him for the laboratory he was raised in, I guess. We'll get more into that maybe at some point. And so we get a chase scene where a bunch of the guys hop out on motorcycles to fight Sakamoto and Shin on motorcycles. This bit fucking rules. Shin hops onto the back of a truck that's carrying lumber and goes, "I want to borrow this." And the guy goes, "Sure." And he chucks lumber into the wheel of a motorcycle. There ain't no way they're non-lethaling these guys. I'm sorry. This
Yeah, I was
is
watching that too. I'm like,
this is one of those moments where you're like, I'm not so sure you're following policy
I'm like,
here.
they're extra dead.
Sakamoto also very kills a man, I'm pretty sure, because he fucking pops a wheelie into a dude's face, and I don't think you walk out of that alive.
I mean, later on in the episode, someone does get their neck snapped. So
yeah, but that's normal neck. That's like non-lethal neck snapping. It happens, you know.
That's normal spy stuff.
Yeah, it's possible. Trust me, I would know. So they wind up at a museum. Because the museum is secretly a cover for the laboratory. It's in the basement of this museum. And the museum curators go, "Hey, you two, come wear dinosaur outfits and let's take photos." And they go, "Yeah, sure, I guess." And so they take photos in dinosaur outfits, and it's kind of cute. Meanwhile, Lou is being transported continually underground. And we see the guy who was in charge of this kidnapping gets ratted out by Shura, to the boss, who is a character from Beastars temporarily, as he's wearing a fake elk head, is like, "So where's Shin?" And Shura's like, "He's gonna show up. He's gonna come after her. We'll get him then." And the boss is like, "Okay, this guy's going in a fucking jail cell, as is she, because he can't do his job right." We see that he is the typical stitched together kind of looking character. We'll find out more about him maybe. He also implies he has somebody higher than him. That seemingly only him and a couple of people know about, because most of the scientists who have been forced to work here to make next-gen weaponry for assassins, they don't quite explain exactly what they're doing fully here. They describe it like they're making actual equipment, but you would think they would be using these to make, like, superhumans, given
Bombs.
track records. But maybe
Yeah.
Shin wasn't experimented on, and they imply he was, because they imply he was the only person who came out with psychic powers. Also, during the car fight scene, Shin fights Shura, and we see that Shura can turn invisible. You would think
That's
this would be
bullshit.
an easy match for Shin, because he could still read his mind, but we'll save that for the next 2 episodes, when that's going to be how they do this. So Sakamoto and Shin fight well, first they try to get in through secret passages, and to which they've changed the password, and so stuffed bears start Gatling firing at the crew, and they have to deal with that. And then after they've dealt with that, a skeletal T-Rex comes to life, and Sakamoto goes, "My daughter would love that. Shin, we're non-lethaling that. We're taking that home with us." And Shin goes, "This is not the time, the place, or the means." And then Sakamoto goes, "This is too much work," and breaks it. And so they make their way down, and we encounter a man whose name I do not remember, because I did not care to make note of it, but he is a weird dude who has a bunch of syringes.
The Doctor.
Yeah.
Something.
And they fight. Do they resolve that fight by the end of the episode?
Yeah, because
No.
Sakamoto
Sakamoto
fucking punches him.
Sakamoto pushes
Yeah.
him like into the next dimension,
yeah.
but he
But
does
he
inject Shin
he
with
does-
the serum that makes you talk backwards.
Yes.
No, the
or in the-
elixir
or
that
in the
can-
dub-
you can change the settings of.
Yeah. Do they finish the fight, or is he still up at the end of this? I don't remember.
I want to say he just gets
Pretty
fucking
sure
one
he's
tapped by
out, like,
Sakamoto.
He
Yeah,
does get
one
one tapped by
tap, yeah.
Sakamoto.
I was like, Sakamoto walks up and goes, "Poof."
So
Yeah, I
And then,
Sakamoto comes out looking like Steve from Minecraft and just beats the fuck out of this dude.
And at the end of the episode, 2 of the people from
Copyright.
from the big assassin organization were here. They're coming
The
to look.
Order.
Yeah, the Order. They're coming here.
The order.
Yeah. Because they're looking for more information about Slur. And that's Sakamoto Days. I think this is a perfectly fine episode. I liked
It was
it.
a very
I en-
Sakamoto Days episode.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm interested to keep I think the stuff in this episode was cool. It was fun. I'm excited to keep moving through to see what they're gonna do with Shin. Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool seeing a little bit of
Yeah.
Shin's backstory.
He's
and-
just a good boy.
It is nice that they are actually gonna tell us kind of why he has the ability to read minds. So we're not just gonna write it as he could just do that. I kind of expected
Right.
that to be what this show is gonna do. That we were just gonna have to live with it. But it's interesting.
the show's fun. It's just like it is certainly just like early 2000s shonen fun, is what it feels like. Just very like, here's the assassin of the week that we're dealing with, or like 2 weeks sometimes.
It's a show that you're either gonna love or you're just gonna not really care for, because it's just like it doesn't do anything super outstanding for shonens, right? It's
Yeah.
just funny comedy go burr. If you like the big man doing big man things, then you're gonna have a good time. And if you don't really care for it because it's a little bit cartoony and it's a little bit like old school kind of style, like almost like slapstick kind of comedy, then you're not gonna like the show, and that's okay too. But
Yep.
I really like the show because I like that style of jokes. I mean, I like how the show is like doing it as characters and kind of like balancing like it's like Sakamoto being cool and being like super assassin while also not making him feel like too like ridiculously insanely unstoppable, right? Because it feels like
Yeah.
he does struggle at times because he is a little rusty, he is, coming off of being a dad for the last like year or two, and it's really or like 6, and it is slowing him down a bit until he gets like beaten up one time and he loses like weight and just bodies people, which is always a good time.
There's a really good bit in this episode where they get shoved in the lockers and they come out and Sakamoto's head is still locker shaped. Very good.
Mhm.
It's like that classic cartoony kind of stuff
Yeah.
going on. I love that stuff. Love that shit.
Yeah, I just
But-
think the other 6 shows are just significantly better. The show's fine. I don't particularly care for any of this cast. Like Sakamoto's cool, but he's just generic cool guy.
The problem is he's a cool character who doesn't talk a lot, so like you don't
Yeah.
get a lot of cool. He has one of
Hey,
the best
he
voices.
thinks a lot.
True, sometimes.
Yeah.
I completely get
really
it.
wanted
I get it.
to like what they were doing with Shin this episode, and then he walks into the lab and goes, "Yo, what up, homies?" I thought he had a bad thought. I thought he didn't like the lab. I thought it isn't the whole thing that
There's definitely
has
something that happened that
he has a
he
bad set
left
of memories
lab
from the
because of.
lab, and like because he gets like ostracized in society for being weird, which is why he has the reaction he does to Lou saying it. For them to have him a super casual conversation with people in the lab, because it seems like the assassins taking over is a recent event.
Yeah.
Well, what he said is the lab people
Well,
are all just a bunch of weirdos. They weren't like doing all this assassin stuff and all this weird like, warmongering-esque efforts.
I wonder
right?
if his
And so-
problem is more with the head of the lab than it is with the regular people who
Mhm.
worked there. Because this,
It was a very strange thing to have him be like, oh, it's gonna be like this big emotional thing. He's gonna
Yeah.
go to the lab, and then him just go, yo, what up, homies? I'm like, interesting.
I think I kind of like it because I
can see it.
like the flip of him not immediately hating everything about because that is the typical what you
Fair.
would do of this kind of character is that they would hate it, right?
It's
I
the most
do.
service job thing ever, where it's like you're working a service job, and it's like I hate my job, but I don't hate the people that work here. They're actually kind of cool, and like that's what's going on here. Is he's like I hated being here and being like us experiment and becoming this mind reader boy, but like the people here were just doing their jobs. Like they like some of them probably treated him decently.
It is
kinda
crazy. It
idea.
is crazy that some of the people who are here do not look like they should also have been here when Shin was a child. They do look a little young still to fit that. The guy who he meets, who he's like, "Hey, yo, you're still here." It's like, when did this guy start working here? When he was 12?
Hey,
Right.
listen, maybe he met him on Take Me to Work Day.
Maybe.
Take your
I-
kid
I
to work
just-
day.
I'm just not super enthused by this show. And the action's all
sure.
cool, but like,
Yeah.
that's not getting a show anywhere, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It got Sasuke Bisco pretty far.
That show was rad as fuck. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had good action.
That
No,
I
thought
had
Blue Haired Boy at least was like a really cool character to follow. I didn't Bisco himself, whatever, but that's not this season.
But the dynamic was also something too, right? There was something. I get you, Michael. I can see this cast being kind of dry. I especially am not the biggest fan of Lou.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to talk about it,
yeah.
but yeah, Lou is just kind of.
It's.
I thought she'd be fun, and
No,
then
it
like
is.
half of her bits are like, she's an idiot, she's
I'm-
drunk.
I'm kind of hoping that she gets very good, that she gets much better later, because I have or that we just get better female casts
Listen, man,
from.
just wait till time skip Blue, bro.
It's more of that like, this definitely does feel old shonen, and that you have a female character, and their role in the story is to be the person who drags you into every problem.
Yeah, who
whether
just happens to
intentional or
literally
not.
cause a
The Destiny.
problem consistently.
To be fair, this one is definitely not her fault.
Yeah, but she is still unfortunately the
He
person
contributed
forced.
to the problem.
She is forced into
She
the role.
got kidnapped.
Yeah.
Because she
Because
shouldn't have
she was
been wearing
being a
shit. She
brat
shouldn't
about
have
wearing
been
She shouldn't
wearing
have been
a
wearing
shirt.
shins apron.
Do you want to get your clothes dirty cleaning? Didn't think so.
Is it?
But I want to get someone else's clothes dirty.
Perfectly rational.
is it-
That's exactly what Amber does to me. So I think it's a completely rational choice to make.
Is it her? Is it her fault that the guy who
I
kidnapped
haven't
her
worn
is
this hoodie
dumb
in
as
2
fuck?
months.
No. I'm interested to give Sakamoto more time, obviously, to see exactly. But I definitely think that of shows that felt like they might have been a given top 3, it certainly is a show that
A little underwhelming.
could easily get knocked out by other shows ramping up, right? Like of just
Yeah.
having a better time. John,
Me.
honey lemon soda.
So- Honey Lemon Soda did some stuff this week. It actually
Yeah.
kind of flipped the script a bit, and I liked it personally. But we'll get into it. So this week in Honey Lemon Soda, we have more of like Serena kind of being pushed to Serena and Ishimori both being pushed in very similar directions, where everyone's kind of like on them about the relationship with Mira. And obviously, Ishimori's at this point where she's like, I should distance myself because I feel like they should be together, and I'm just in the way. To which it kind of goes back and forth a lot about it. The biggest like turning point in this show, in the episode, I know I'm like kind of summarizing some of the stuff, is that it gets to the point where Serena is out being pulled out behind the school shed by some other classmen because so and so's boyfriend looked at her and said she was cute, because that's her sin. Her grave sin is being cute. And then we have a flashback to where this happened in junior high, and where Mira was the one person who was her friend and saved her. And she fell in love with him, but it was more of like a codependency issue more than it was actual like love, which she identified and she accepted, which is why she broke it off between him, is because she realized she needed to grow as a person back in junior high, and that she was becoming too dependent on him. And despite that, still stayed close with him throughout those years. And now it feels like she's finally like at a point where she's confident enough in herself and her ability to make friends and to be an individual that can handle herself, that she could actually fall in love with Kai. However, knowing Ishimori, it being this like very innocent person who clearly has feelings for Kai, and her also seeing that Kai clearly treats her differently than even she was treated when she needed help, says when accused of it, like, no, I'm not in love with Kai. To which Ishimori says, you're a bad liar, which is a big theme of this episode, because it comes back to where it kind of gets flipped on its head later, where Ishimori's the one who's in the same scene actually says, no, I can't pursue it because my love isn't real love. It's not romantic love. It's just love and admiration as a person, because I like Kai as like an individual. Not, he's like a very special person to me, I think is what she says. So this kind of creates this weird divide where it's like, okay, you lied about it, and then Ishimori lied about it. So you're both just lying to each other about the same thing, even though you know the other one's lying. And finally, we have the end of the semester where Ishimori's basically like, hey, next term, Kai, and like walks, home and everything like that. It says, no, I'm fine on my own, and tries to put some distance, to which the big festival comes around, and Ishimori gets a knock on the door. It's actually Ayumi who takes her to the festival, which honestly, go to friend. And Ishimori's first question is, hey, where's Satoru? And she's like, shh, don't worry about him. It is girls' night. It is girls' night time. We need girls' night to talk about girls' things. They go to the festival. Of course, they run into Serena there without Kai, which excuses her, because we also see Kai was going to ask her to go to the festival and then got like absolutely sniped by Ayumi at the door. So you have Serena with her friend, and they're like, where's Kai? And she's like, listen, I'm not all with Kai all the time. There's nothing there right now. And there's not going to be, basically, because she respects Ishimori's like place. And then Ishimori is at the same time trying to distance herself to respect Serena's place, which she thinks with. To which she ends up basically running away from. Well, Ayumi gets pulled with Satoru, and then she starts running to find, I believe, Serena to begin with. But originally she just runs away, and
Yeah.
Kai finds her.
Yeah.
And Kai's trying to guide her back to her friends, and he's holding her hand, and she's like, can you please stop holding my hand? And he's like, just shake me off. I will let you. Just do it, right? If you really want that. Which is a little bit manipulative, but also
I don't think so.
very like it's not in that way in the show, but it could be seen as that. But it's in a way that's like, hey, I know that this is what you want because this is what I legitimately want as well in this like relationship we have. To which Ishimori kind of caves, but also managed to separate herself because she realizes, okay, this is romantic love. I do have a right to try at this, but I have to be honest with Serena first. So she goes and runs off and finds her and Ayumi and apologizes to her about lying, and Serena apologizes to Ishimori about lying, and they both agree to kind of like see each other as equals in this like pursuit of one guy. And so I feel like this is a really productive episode because they actually came to a head with all the issues going on with the characters, and actually I feel like it was a big growing moment for Ishimori as a character, right? Because she was able to like get over that hump of like the I'm not worthy tier to at least being to the accepting her own feelings kind of situation. At least that's how I felt about it. Sean, you hated the show. What do you think?
No, I didn't. But here's the caveat.
Sean, the show's absolutely garbage on your list. So
this
what
and
is that?
TASOKARE are in the same boat for me, where I'm at the point where I'm like, either of these could go, and I don't think I would care, and I would just be, and I'm more happy to just watch the rest of the stuff I have and see more of it. And the reason for that with Honey Lemon Soda is because we've had this happen a couple of times now, where we end the episode and I feel really good about where Ishimori is, and then we spend the next 2/3 of the next episode with her backpedaling, no matter how far we get. And it's like, I get it, she is still making progress forward, but I'm tired of it. I understand that she's the type of character where this is bound to happen. But there are some nuances to it that just bother me. And before I get into those, I have 2 points that I do really like about this episode. I think it is rad that we use the fireworks festival as a set piece in a way that you traditionally do not in this type of show and genre. We are not looking at the festival at fucking all, and that is rad. You are taking one of the standard typical trope locations and ignoring it to do like character growth and movement.
Serious
and
character
that's
building.
neat. That's a neat concept. I like how it does that. I actually really like the Kai scene at the festival, because the problem that I think that I think might sit there for some people is that Kai is a character written to act toxic, but he actually isn't. Right? Like that is his whole like
it's a
he
weird
is the
in between where like sometimes he's like the sweet guy and sometimes he is just the toxic guy.
well, this is the classic how you write the hot guy character 101.
The bad boy.
Yeah, is you give him the toxic qualities, but also all the good ones, and the toxic ones aren't real. And like, so the idea here is nothing he actually does in this scene is manipulative or toxic, because essentially what he does is he holds her hand to walk because he just wants to hold her hand, and she goes, "Let go," and he, understanding the type of person she is, goes, "Okay, I'm not gonna let go, but you can let go at any moment. So it's balls in your court. I'm not actively trying to hold you here. Oh, look, you're not doing that. Did we stop to think that you're lying to yourself?" And then as soon as she has that realization, she lets go and runs to go find Serena. That works, right? Like I think there's nothing wrong that he does in that moment. He's just guiding her to an answer, helping her get to a conclusion. So I like that scene. It's the constant back and forth of what really upsets me in this episode is that Ishimori tells a lie, and the lie is Kai, like, I don't view Kai romantically. I view Kai on like a platonic, like I look up to him, it's helpful. And she's so and we move past it so quickly. She's not even trying to like buy into her own lie. She gets home and she goes, "God, I fucking love him and I miss him. Why did I do that?" And it's like, girl,
We knew that.
yeah, like I'm tired. I'm tired of this game.
Yeah.
And what's really frustrating is that Kai so clearly loves her, and even Serena so clearly knows he loves her, that is her thing, right? She won't say she does, because why bother? she knows who Kai likes. It's so fucking clear to anyone who's paying attention at this point that that's the case. Let the man fucking talk to her about his feelings. Oh my god, we're at episode 7. Like, it's so weird to set up love rivals when all that has to happen is the main couple has to have one real conversation about feelings, and it's done, and you don't gotta worry about it. I also just think the root cause of most problems in most of these episodes are random bullies show up and pick the most minuscule thing to bully someone about, and then we have to get up in arms about it. I'm tired of this show's routine. It's grown boring for me, is where I lie with it.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at with it as well. The rubber banding that Ishimori has is ridiculous. She is
Dude,
so
nobody's like that.
She is so self-sabotaging for no
It's
reason.
not necessarily
It's very. I feel like it's fair for her to not be able to get out of her own head.
Yeah, yes.
Honestly.
The problem is that
What is that? We have to watch it.
right. It's
Yeah.
more it's less of a character issue and more of a pacing problem for me. Right? Like, we've done this too many times now for how long I'm expected to sit here and enjoy the show, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want things to have to move. Like, I'm gonna like this is where I'll give like ZENSHU credit. Is like ZENSHU was following a pattern that could have gotten really stale, and it chose to break that with a very different episode, right? Like, and there are other shows that have like dynamically changed kind of what they're doing each week to keep it interesting, and this one is falling too much into the same patterns for my liking.
No, fair.
Michael, Austin.
No, that pretty much summed it up for me. Like, I do like, I think the festival scene was like very, very nice, and so what the fuck's her, and ex-girlfriend continues to
Serena.
Serena continues to be absolutely goated.
I really like her backstory stuff. I thought that was
Yeah.
really a really interesting. I think the show could have spelled out a little clearer generally that it was a codependency issue on her end. It's clear that is it, but I think you can miss that because I think the writing for the show isn't as strong as it could be at times, where like that is definitely what's going on, and you recapped it in Synergon. I'm like, yeah, that really is what happened there, and I'm like, how did that important and like really meaningful lesson from her backstory kind of get lost for me? Crazy. Less airplanes this week. Good for it.
Yeah, no weird airplanes.
There was one weird pan they did at the start of the episode to transition where it was when Miura's walking her home or to the arcade that we don't get to see them do. Interesting. And it just pans the shot up towards the tree on the side of the road, and it just sits there for a little bit, and then it moves on to the next scene.
I did enjoy this episode. Like overall, I think I don't know. I guess in my brain it doesn't feel like she backpedaled, because this has just been really slow the whole time. Just is its own separate problem. It's an extremely slow set of stuff for her. Which yeah, slow. But I did something that like I said out loud to myself while watching this. Is that something I made a comment of like first week is this show's music is whack. Because it's got some goofy odd music, but then it's also one of those things where it'll just have a music track playing,
Yeah.
and then like an important scene hits, and I go, "Oh no, it makes sense because you don't have to like awkwardly transition to a music track here. It just works. We just got into this seamlessly, and I was like, damn, that was like." It's like I think specifically with the scene with Kai, the transition into the music there, like into like the cutting out the sounds of the show to just like the music playing as she's like separating her hand. I was like, oh, that worked. That was like really good. That was really well done.
No, this show's OST definitely does sit in my mind. Like, it plays the songs, and I go, it's the song it plays for this type of scene. And I like when shows get me used to that.
Okay.
I will give it that.
And I just kind of like the way they do this stuff this episode. I loved seeing like when Ayumi shows up, seeing Kai standing out like
Yeah.
off on the corner. I was like that's great.
Hmm.
Because we ended last episode with Kai going, scratch that on the not liking her thing. I really like setting that part up. And like having that be like it's something we get pretty quickly this episode.
And I also really like the bit where he's like, "You should see you next term." That's fucked. What if I wanted to see you?
Mhm.
Where's your
Also,
where's
like,
your where's your
where's
phone?
your phone at home? Do you know what the word mobile
What?
means?
Very good. Very good bit.
Like,
I like Kai a lot.
love
I
these-
want
I
more of
think
him.
these two are so. I just want to see. I like seeing these two together. It is fair though. Yeah, it is. Ishimura is certainly something.
I think it's a little too slow, and the problem is, I think there's an odd imbalance of how good her forward progress is and how bad her back progress is. Like every moment she gets to like move forward and like grow is wonderful, and I have to watch her move back, and it's rough. But with that said, I still think this show's good. It's just it's just in the bottom batch of if this goes, I'm fine with it going. I'm not gonna be upset. I'm not dying to watch the next episode of this.
That's fair. So I'm also not like. Man, I guess it's number 5 for me. So.
Like I sound really harsh. I sound really harsh on it, and it's like, but like
I mean, I really like it. And it's on 5 for me too. So I mean, it's like it's
Right.
it's
I
It's a lot of-
I
it's
have a
solid
hard
choice right now.
I have a hard time putting other things below it. Is my issue with it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like I like Sakamoto Days, so I have a hard time putting I lack that extra show that everybody else kind of has to put under it. It's just not there for me, which makes
Yeah.
it difficult.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess an overall, yeah, I don't think any of these shows are bad. I think there are some I definitely think are better.
I definitely
We'll get into something about one of these shows that it's not a something. I guess the next show actually.
Medalist is next.
Oh, okay, not the next show.
Yeah, Medalist sucked ass, bros.
Yes,
We found the 1 week of Medalist that some of us were comfortable not putting at one.
it's a setup episode. We introduced to like 18 billion characters this episode.
We also get one of
It
the
felt like-
greatest screenshots of all time.
Defeated. Yep. But yeah, Medalist. If we want to transition to that.
Yeah,
Which sounded like we were doing.
you're good.
Episode titled Level 1 Badge Test. I would guess you can maybe guess what like the central event of this episode is.
Is it
That's
really?
right. She takes the level.
We
I mean,
kinda-
that's like that's like the first half is setting up into her doing that.
Yeah, then we just kind of blink past it.
Well, yeah, and she goes to take it. Hey guys, she passed it.
Yeah.
But in preparation for this, when they're going to take it, she meets this small girl I don't remember the name of. Is her name on the character list? It is Suzu. She is a level 7 or level 6 doing her level 7 test. She is notable because she is a dingus.
Yep.
And also she was ranked number 2 in the same category that Hikaru won first in. Which from what we understand, realistically doesn't mean she's that close to Hikaru, but she's still like in that same ballpark of skater you want to be near. Person who can do a lot of the big tricks. And also we meet Emma, who is outside, sitting there being harassed by birds. She is a very calm demeanor, so the animals are like, "Yo, she's kind of awesome," and she's like, "Help," which is where the funny screenshot comes from. You know, where he goes to help after catching worms, and she gets attacked by the birds. And then an important thing that comes out of these two is that we meet their coach. If he's named, his picture isn't shown here. Oh no, it is. Yudai. He's awesome. This guy has a southern accent. Awesome character. Love him. So essentially, a big thing that's been happening before we go to the badge test, Tsukasa's trying to get Inori to do a double jump. Which I believe double jump in this case is the jump with 2 spins. Not a jump into another jump. It's 2 separate things. So interesting term to use. I mean, I guess it would be called a double name of the jump.
Yeah.
If she did 2%, that is that. Well, yeah. And he's like, so we're going over stuff. He's like, okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna record you doing it. We're gonna kind of look at because when you do spins for jumps, you got 3 parts move: your head, your shoulders, and your torso or your waist. We got to make sure all 3 of those are working together. And he goes, so you see, your head and your shoulders go, your waist, that's just like not even close. Not actually. He's like that's lagging behind.
Actually, terrible.
And then he has an idea of how to fix this, and then proceeds to not tell her. He goes, it's just behind, and he goes, bet I'll try, and then it doesn't work. She can't just fix it. That's not how that works. Then he meets this other coach, and he goes, hey, I want you to like help, because like it's my first time coaching, and you got some like pretty good students there, especially because Emma has a very, very clean form for the jump she's doing. This happens, and then I'm trying to find character. He told me, he's like, I think he told me that she's like, whoa, you don't just ask that of people. And you gotta just like, sure, that sounds awesome. Just talking with
Sure,
other people,
bro.
like coaches talking about coaching, sounds like a great time. We could do a little like joint practice. And it's great. Yudai gets there, and Inori goes to do her jump, and Tsugai goes, okay, so like this is the problem, and this is how I want to fix it. And Yudai goes, so why don't you tell her that? That is the exact words I was gonna say. And Tsukasa goes, damn it.
Damn it, he's good.
Because Tsukasa's whole thing is that he has 0 confidence in himself here. Which we got like a flashback to one of the coaches he had one going, the biggest thing you're missing right now is years of experience. That's the only problem. And that leads to Tsukasa not thinking he can do anything. We also get this interesting thing here, dynamic, where they're essentially pushing at, because Tsukasa did ice dancing instead of figure skating, he has better like awareness of people on the ice and like as better at seeing people. Because ice dancing's a duo thing.
It makes
so
sense.
you always have to have a partner with.
I like it. It's neat.
We also got like a really cool thing where where they see Emma go to do a double jump. And he goes, yeah, so the issue is she's hesitating. She looks down to check where the ice is before she jumps. And I'm just like, damn, that hits back to what I did marching band. And every fucking time they were hit the ground's not moving. Why are you looking at the floor, dumbass?
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at the floor. It's not moving, you are. I'm like, damn, you right though. Every time.
Some people don't trust their feet.
Yeah. And then it's time, and then the episode ends with us at the arena for this next cup that she's in. And we meet like 5 characters off rip here. People just appear.
This is a set of
That
twins.
are all
This is a set of triplets. Sorry.
Yeah, you got a set of triplets. They're the something triplets.
We get what seemed to be like a brother.
Yeah.
Is it a brother sister or a sister? No, it's a.
No, it's just 2 people at the
Just
same
2
club,
people.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have it's like boy or girl. You can't actually tell it's a child.
I think it's a girl.
Oh, whatever. A creature shows up and goes, "Hey, just so you know, you're gonna lose anyway." And Inori goes, "Actually, I don't think I'm going." He goes, "Nah, just." They go, "Nah, just kidding. No, you're gonna lose actually." And then this other girl shows up and she goes, "You're being weird. Stop. You're making our club look bad."
They also bump into another girl who immediately
Another girl
goes,
from a different club.
who immediately goes, "You're trash. Out of my way." L loser.
That's like, damn, it's like a really crash course introducing the competition for this level 1 thing here, because this seemingly seems to be the group she's going to be against.
Yeah. It is crazy to have the setup for Emma here be she's the only person of the same age from that school. Everybody else is like significantly younger at this level because they're all fucking prodigies essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's also the thing we've been kind of setting up.
Yeah.
Is you start figure skating young if you want to get good at it.
Yeah.
It's a thing that takes a while to get really good at.
you realistically start most sports young if you want to actually play them at like a real level.
Mhm.
But like
Yeah.
this is one of those ones where like you really start young.
It's because like the floor is so high. Just to, like be on ice skates, you know,
Yeah.
and not eat shit like is very difficult for adults to learn how to do. You know, let alone kids.
It's also one of those things where
So-
it's like time commitment to it. Like you start young because then that is the thing you do, right? Like you don't have other things that might pull you away from it. You have
Mhm.
your full time commit. It's expensive, so like
It
you don't
becomes your
have time to
routine.
do other things, right? Like you,
Yeah.
that for a slow episode that like a slow down episode that is introducing Cat is still really fucking good. That show's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
Yuda's great. I love him. What a wonderful man.
He's wonderful. He's already one of my
Also,
favorites.
He was like a little bit cocky about it. He's like, "Oh, she's pretty good. How long has she been doing it for?" He's like, like
4 months.
4 months.
And he's like, "What the fuck do you mean 4 months?"
Right.
What the fuck you
Where's
cooking
the
over
track
here?
like that?
Did you say this is the first child you've coached? He's like, yeah. And he's like, what the fuck
Yeah,
is
yeah,
right
we're just-
now?
we're just
This
gonna
is
What
What
do
is
you
over
need me
here?
for? You're fucking smurfing.
It is really him essentially just going, dude. What do you want me to do here? You want me to tell you you're
So
right?
you-
You're right. What the
You
fuck?
did it.
Right.
Like, congrats. You made a good kid. Prodigy. Like, you just gotta like give it time, bro.
Medalist very good.
Oh, it's very good.
Middle is very good.
There's also a funny bit at the beginning of the episode. Like it's like actually where it starts is like Tsukasa like wakes up from
Oh,
like
right.
a dream or whatever. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go be the best. I'm gonna go great as he's running through the house because as like last episode said, he's now living with this family again. And he like goes and screams out the window as Yo walks by behind him. He goes, "Oh, did I say wake you up?" And she goes, "Yeah."
First
Really good
time.
that, yeah.
Yep.
It's really it's a funny bit. I love Tsukasa. Tsukasa's fucking great. You know where he's a bean. She has her
Worms.
We just randomly got there like just catching worms at the level 1 competition.
She's gotta
For the
calm her
level 1
nerves
above
before the
match
test. Gotta calm
Yeah.
her nerves before the test.
Ah, yes, look at all these wormies.
Emma goes and I guess meditates and attracts pigeons. It's unfortunate how this had to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, Mills is good, man. I want more.
Good. Love all of these characters.
And now
Which are so good.
it's Tasokare.
So Tasokare Hotel this week. So we're following a. This week it's basically a woman who has brass knuckles for her head this week. Hold on, I'm also pulling up the episode so I can skim through and get names.
I don't remember her name.
Sorry, there we go.
Her name's long.
But basically, we kind of always seem to, words hard. We start off with getting this woman who, excuse me, we don't start off with that. We start off with a background shot or like a background or backstory scene for Rory, where she is eating some like cup ramen alone, and then starts like checking in to see if there's any ingredients and starts like cooking for herself. And then we get the actual like woman coming in as our guest for the week. She is kind of gruff at first, but takes into like a special notice of Rory after like going to the restaurant and asking for the chef because the cooking was being so good. And Rory and her end up getting this kind of weird like found family relationship throughout the episode, because we get backstory that Rory was part of a single family household or a single parent household where she wasn't really like taken care of all that well and had to learn how to fend for herself. And this woman was a single mom who was taking care of her daughter all by herself and doing everything she could to. We end up finding out that Rory gets all of her memory back by this point and finds out that she was hit by a truck because her family was poor and she didn't want to see the girls from her school being poor. So she backed up into the road and got hit by a truck, and now she's in a vegetative state. Real
Truckoon.
world.
Let's go.
And because of this, we find out that all of the people that are working in the hotel are not being paid in like money or like traditional wages. They're being paid in time. How that is applied, we don't quite know yet, but we do know that they're being paid in time, most likely once they go back to the real world. But at the end of this episode, we also we do get that this woman basically she was working for a scam company that was kind of linked to not great things, basically scamming elderly people out of their life savings, which was causing elderly people to kill themselves. And one night, after finally figuring out that it's a scam and wanting to leave it, she just happens to pick the night that the cops show up and raid the place. And so her boss jumps across to the neighboring building to get away. She tries to follow, slips, falls, dies, and ends up moving on. I think that's basically all we get this episode.
Why is her head brass knuckles?
Because I mean, like my brain immediately was like Yakuza stuff, but yeah, that they do end up going. It's not actually technically gang affiliation stuff. Is
Like, I feel like there's stuff missing in this episode. That
it seems like she was formerly gang affiliated because her buddy certainly is a gang affiliated.
like she worked at a brothel, or as a hostess rather.
Mhm.
I feel like the photo of everybody, I also feel like we don't ever understand what the context of the photo of all the people together is actually about. They don't actually explain why his face is ever blacked out in the image. There's a lot of odd things in this episode. Like I like what it does with Ruri. Like I enjoy getting more of our surrounding cast. I'm interested by the idea of them earning time and what that might mean. I don't think the show is bad, but again, I'm just more willing to watch other things that this is also floating in that sphere of this can go and I would be fine.
this show with these last two episodes, especially because they've been episodes kind of that they're using as vehicles to kind of explore the other workers, like last episode with the Octodee stuff, this episode with Ruri. These whatever these could be called in the game, these chapters are way too fucking long to be contained in one episode.
Yeah,
This is probably quite literally 4 hours of gameplay they condensed into 20 minutes of an episode.
Yeah.
There's just not enough time to cover this.
Yeah, that episode I just wanted so much more from like the woman and Ruri, and it's just you get like just glimpse of it just because it's just 24 minutes.
I'm gonna be real. Probably should not have rated this at 3. I don't think I rated it correctly, but
Again, I think what we get in the episode is good. I just wanted more with these characters. Like,
yeah.
I wanted to see more. I think we got like last episode was like kind of stretching it. I think we did still get enough with the older general with like the musician last episode. We got like it felt like we didn't get enough with the kid last episode. But because he had so much with him, it kind of supplemented and still ended up working because it was also connected with Autode's stuff.
Yeah.
It just I wanted more of this
John, you're
episode.
muted. John, you're muted.
John, your mic is red. You are muted.
I know, but
Okay.
like it's like we've been saying like this entire time of the show is like, man, you guys really want to play that game, don't you?
I do.
Because like
I do
yeah,
wish
it's
I do like
missing
an
all
English
the
version of this game
context.
existed.
Like
We'll find
the
a way.
biggest thing is like all taking the time to find the clues and get the context and solve the mystery and make the puzzle interesting. And it's like that's the whole enjoyment of it. But like when you miss a lot of the information, it just becomes very like streamlined of like this, right? Um, but I mean, like obviously, like I haven't liked the show very much from like after like the first couple weeks, I think, but it's just I just really don't like this in the show format, right? I think I would also enjoy it more as the game that is based off of, even comparatively to like the good parts of the show. I feel like it's just it isn't translating super well from like that format. Basically, it's hard to like it's hard to transform into a show that is both coherent and has enough time to do all the things you need to do to get the information and make like the watcher feel like, oh, I got it moment, right? At least in my end.
This was definitely the week where I was like, again, it felt like not enough time to get everything that even felt like it should have been delivered to us. Like I actively felt like some things were missing and weren't dived into. I don't really take this into consideration because obviously we don't know the source material. But there was a thing noted that the anime apparently makes Ruri a little more lively. Like in the visual novel, she is essentially like dead
Bot.
on emo, which makes a lot of sense given what we know about her.
Considering when she gets back, she's gonna be dead on email.
Yeah. But like I don't really take that into much consideration because I don't dislike Ruri's character. I like a lot of the subtle things they were giving us about like her tensing up about family conversations with every character around, and like that stuff is cool and neat if you have time to like really see it play out like over the course of a visual novel. Like I also still don't really get why the woman was like desperately avoiding our main character this episode. If the simple answer is just she didn't want to remember because deep down she knew that she was dead and she wasn't going to see her kid again, I get that, but like spell it out a little more. It just seemed like she kind of just wanted to fuck around. Like it felt like she was two different characters throughout this episode. Like who she was at the beginning when she was just kind of fucking around with everybody, and then who she is when she is revealed to be a mother. Like she does a really huge character swap, I feel like, in this episode, which is also really odd.
Fucked him, kids. What she said.
No, I actually don't think she said that. I think that is the exact opposite of things she
No,
said.
like when she rolled to the hotel, she's like, "Fuck them kids," and she went, "Shit, I got one of them."
True.
Actually, they all right. But
so something that technically doesn't matter to the show because openings are not canon or whatever, if you want to call it that. As of this opening, there's only two things. There's only two mirrors left in that one shot of the opening that's been filling out like with the head visuals. There's only two left. We have 5 episodes left.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because 2 of them get used up this episode for you get Rudy's and hers. You get the brass knuckles and the carousel.
Mhm.
Last episode there were 2 characters. 2 of them were taken up by the pair the other episode. Like there's been like a lot of pairs coming in recently, which have been using up a lot of them. So that is something I'm still like interested in, is where the show goes once those have all been filled out. But yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish this game was in English on Steam.
Same.
just translate it yourself, dummy.
Yeah, I wish I fucking spoke Japanese. I think that's what this game is in. Can't tell.
I would
Okay.
imagine.
We have
Yeah, probably.
results. We have no slays on ZENSHU. No slays on Medalist. Oh my god, wait, this isn't... Somebody didn't vote about Unio. How did it let you do that? You shouldn't have been able to avoid that. Should have been mandatory. Why? It says it...
Sounds like
Look, I know I voted for Unio.
Did anybody
Who
kill a
abstained
Unio this week?
Unio.
I did not.
he wasn't in the episode.
Yeah,
I
I
did
did.
choose a spare Unio. Unio didn't piss me off. This
That's
week.
why I
Unio
didn't
wasn't
vote. He
there.
wasn't in the episode. It's
Oh,
not
no,
fair
Unio,
to judge
Unio
him.
was there, but it was for a funny bit.
Hey, it's important about the hairpin. John,
yeah,
this
that's
isn't
a hairpin. That's
it
not a
doesn't
hairpin,
count.
and it'll grow
John,
back.
you're-
Count.
John,
Doesn't
you're,
count.
you're fucking with my stats at the end of the season.
Yeah, get fucked, idiot.
I
Odd
was
numbers.
gonna not put it because he wasn't in the episode, but I was
Enjoy
like,
your
I need...
number that doesn't end in a 0 or
I
a 5.
fucking
Sean.
hate you.
Got him.
Okay, guys, next week only John will vote, and this is how we'll get him. Is we'll balance the stat back out.
No, John gets to vote twice
Yeah.
next week.
Him, because doesn't it 0 or 5? We're not
worry
gonna
about
end with a repeating decimal.
Don't worry about it. The shows that have
We're gonna get a repeating decimal.
shows that have 1 sleigh, Crush at Work, Sakamoto Days. Show that has 2 sleighs, Flower and Asura. Shows that have 4 sleighs, Honey Lemon Soda and TASOKARE Hotel, Break Out the Wheel.
Let's go.
I
go.
don't want to watch one of these.
That's unfortunate. God has other plans.
One of them.
Okay, I need you guys to know what
Really
we
won't
had
open
on the
wheel 'cause I already
wheel
know the answer.
for the other one. For our wheel show.
Yeah,
Nice.
those are
No,
certainly shows of all time.
Red Ranger in another world, baby.
You
Blah,
bet
blah.
Only Mal can tell me how good that show is right now until I sit down and watch it.
It's TASOKARE and
Honey Lemon Soda.
all right.
It's so crazy seeing
If it gets
animes are going in
stabbed,
with
it
class
gets
at
stabbed.
decent ranking on any list.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I can never lose wheels.
It'd be like that.
No, I can never win wheels, Mason.
And yet we keep
Big
letting
difference.
him do it.
Hey, the votes worked out the way the votes worked out.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I think I know what's going next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
probably I
fair.
have a crush at work.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be wild.
You're right. It's just gonna be an entire episode of them fucking nonstop, and it will get voted off next week for it.
It just goes full hentai.
And what's really funny is I actually don't even know if that would be enough for it to get voted off next week.
No, because I feel like they'd only get like 2 of us to put it.
I don't want to. I don't know what to tell you. And with that, Honey Lemon Soda is off this week, and we'll see what happens next week when we come back for, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, the halfway point of the season. Not in episode count, but simply in how many shows remain.
In Shokan.
Yeah, 6 shows. That's
Yeah.
right. It'll be the dreaded top 3, bottom 3. There is no middle. There is no surviving.
The middle is fake.
It is gone.
Hard as a lie, nothing
You-
is real.
Or shows are either Democratic or they're Republican. There is no in between. You decide which is which.
I don't know what you're going with there, Sean. I don't know that
This
one.
is a 2-party system, John. The top or the bottom.
Yeah, they're a top or you're a
The
bottom.
bottom.
There are
You're-
no switches.
You're either a Democrat or a Republican. You're either a top or a bottom. Which is which is for you to
Uh.
decide.
Huh. All right, epic rap battles of history.
Go back to Monhunt, John.
I can't.